Paul Hamilton joining us on the Western Hotline. Chat a little hockey here. Good morning, Jeremy and Joe. We are streaming on YouTube, of course, and all over. You can also catch us. We're simulcasting, and now one of our homes is 104.7, 107.7 FM, in addition to WGR Sports Radio 550, which is on 550 AM. It's WGR 550 everywhere on a lot of spots now. You can find us everywhere. And Paul's with us. Hey, Paul, good morning.
Hello, how are you?
Paul, we, Joe and I, by the way, good morning, Jeremy and Joe. We had a loose comparison earlier for the USA women's team level of domination equal to the Soviets in 1980. And I feel like you might be the person to ask for this, but maybe it's not quite that level. But they've scored 31 and given up 1 in this tournament, and they'll play Canada in the gold medal game on Thursday. So maybe not the Soviets of 1980, but not far off.
Well, even that, the Soviets of 1980 it didn't do that, where they scored what did you say, 31-1?
31-1 in the tournament, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't do that. I mean, but they were dominant, and it just no team was expected to even touch them, and all of a sudden the upstart Americans did somehow figure it out. So this by far is the biggest gap I've seen between the U.S. and Canada in women's hockey. It's never been like this. It's always been very, very close. I mean, you had no idea who was going to win the game, before it started. And, this one, I think it would be a huge upset if Canada won, because the game that they've already played, it wasn't even close.
Right, and Poulin missed that game, but it wasn't close enough to think that one player would make that big of a difference.
Right. No, I don't. She wasn't there, but yeah, I don't think she would have.
Paul, the men, meanwhile, of course, they got what might be a bad draw. I don't know if there's any way really to figure out how it was going to fall.
Did you see, though, how, me and Owen talked about this a little bit yesterday, and Paul, I don't know if you picked up on this too, that the way they do the seeding is based on your place in the group and not how many wins you had. So Germany is a higher seed with 1 win over Denmark than Sweden, who has 2 wins over Finland and Italy, which, I don't know, that felt weird, but it's not now, whatever, we're here, right? And the U.S. has probably got to play Sweden if they win today, which is about as tough a draw as you probably could have imagined.
Yeah, the U.S. has the 2nd seed, and here they are, a pretty good chance that they're going to have to face Sweden, and if they win that, probably play Finland. Mm-hmm. So it's just, you would have been better off being the 4th seed than being the 2nd seed.
Right. Right.
And that's why if anybody who saw the game, excuse me one second, anybody that saw the game wondered why Sweden pulled the goaltender after they were ahead, because after Sweden was ahead, Slovakia scored, and Sweden knew it. It screwed them up as far as seeding. I mean, Sweden wanted to win the group to get the bye. Then they wound up 3rd just because of that goal. So they pulled the goalie trying to get a better goal differential so they could move up and not be 3rd in the group.
Right. Because imagine if you're Sweden, what that goal did to you. I mean, we talk about how it makes it tougher for the U.S. Sweden's path to making or winning gold is probably got to be U.S., then Canada, then Finland to make it.
Yeah. So it's, where Canada, number 1 seed, they get the Czechia-Denmark winner. Slovakia faces the Germany-France winner. And even the team that came in 2nd place, which gets a bye, I mean, Finland, they're waiting on the Switzerland-Italy winner. And the U.S. probably winds up with Sweden being the 2nd seed. So it was just kind of a fluky thing because Sweden wound up much further down the ranks than anybody thought they would.
Paul Hamilton here. Paul, how has the U.S. looked to you? Does it look like a team that needs to wake up every game a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, they do. I think Canada, to me, has looked much better in the games they've played. The U.S. has let teams hang around for a little bit, and then they kick it in and get going and start putting the puck in the net. And they've now. I thought Binnington probably has had to make the harder saves than Hellebuck has. Each has played 2 games. Swayman had a real rough outing, but it didn't matter because they scored enough goals. I mean, he got scored on from the red line, and they were blaming the boards.
And they're changing the boards, right?
Yes.
They did change them, yeah, right now. They're lighter.
I didn't hear Swayman blame him, but the commentators sure did. They felt that he couldn't pick the puck up coming from the red line.
That makes sense to me to change the boards. Kind of like the batter's eye in baseball. Like it should not even be close to something where it makes it difficult for the players to do their job.
I mean, if you looked at Swayman, he was leaning to his left a little bit for that shot. The shot was totally to his right. So that's where I think the commentators got that he lost the puck in the boards because he was totally off where the puck was even going, in the beginning. And when he was leaning to the left, by that time he wasn't going to be able to kind of get it all figured out and get over to the right. But yeah, he had a little bit of a tough outing.
Just checking, Paul. It's illegal in the NHL if the Sabres wanted to make the other end of the ice dark boards that the opposing goalie's looking at twice.
I like that you looked into it.
That's probably illegal, I think. I haven't checked. I'm just assuming it's illegal.
Well, what advertisements do you want over there?
Yeah.
There you go.
Do they want a dark ad on the wall?
Do it. What about Tage for you? He's not playing a ton of minutes, but he is still playing on that number 1 power play. And I think that probably has, if you're wondering about a spot in the lineup, it's probably secure based on that. But he's definitely not playing a lot at the even strength times.
Yeah, he's only getting less, 9 minutes and some odd seconds in the last 2 games. And a lot of people are flipping themselves upside down trying to figure out why. It's really nothing Tage Thompson did. It's the rotation that the New York Rangers coach has come up with to make sure his New York Rangers players are playing and when they should be home watching from their living rooms. But that's basically all it is.
Yeah.
Because it was, he would get out for a couple and then Connor would get out for a couple. But Tage is in the power play, so when they decided it was time to, put somebody else into the lineup, sure wasn't the Rangers guys that were going to sit. They weren't going to go up to the press box. It was Connor. He winds up going there. So, it is what it is. I mean, Sullivan is going to protect his players. Drury is going to make sure his players are there. And there they are. And, you get JT Miller in the lineup so he can screen the goaltender on one of the goals. I'm talking about his own goaltender. Mm-hmm. And, so it's don't kill yourselves trying to figure out, well, what's Tage doing? The coaches hate him or this or that. No, it has nothing to do with anything. It's just a rotation that the New York Rangers coach has come up with to make sure his New York Rangers players are playing.
And on Sweden, Paul, they're not having a great tournament. We talked about them earlier with the seeding. But Dahlin, would you agree he looks like their best player through the 3 games?
Yeah, and he's playing the most too. In many of the games, he's getting the most minutes. Part of it was they figured out, which they didn't figure out in the 4 Nations, that they could put him on the power play. They were afraid to put him out in the power play. They were afraid to put him out in the penalty kill. They were afraid to put him out in overtime. And I thought he and Forsling played well together in that tournament, to be quite honest with you. And the thing that I watching Dahlin, he's more into getting into the offensive zone. And next thing you see him down in the corner digging for the puck. He does it with the Sabres, yes, but not as much as he's doing with Finland. And it's actually gone in for goals, and he actually lost one of his assists. He left the game 1 with 3 assists, now only has 2. I've watched the replay of this play many times. I don't understand how Raymond wound up with an assist because Dahlin, again, went into the zone, into the corner, fetched the puck, brought it along the wall, hit Brad in the middle. Brad took a really hard shot that the goaltender kicked the rebound out to Forsling, who scored. Raymond was in front. Now, Raymond wound up with the first assist, which means they say he touched the puck between Bratt and the puck getting out to Forsling. I've watched it many times. Now, I don't have a close-up of it like they might have because they changed it like after the game. But it looked to me like the goaltender kicked the rebound right out between the legs of Raymond. It didn't look to me like the puck hit him. But for them to change to assist afterwards, they must have had something where it was a real good close-up and saw it clipped his skate or something on the way back to Forsling.
All right. So Sabres back tomorrow, Paul, for practice, right?
Yeah, they're back tomorrow. They get going. They get a full week of practice. They won't practice every day like they have Friday off, and but they'll get it. They'll be back on the ice together over at Harbor Center tomorrow.
Very good. Thanks, Paul.
Take care, guys.
We'll check in again with Paul Hamilton later on in the tournament. Got the stat of the day for you about one of the wide receivers in this draft class and who he stacks up against in a certain category.